Hey everyone, welcome to A Loop Through a Loop. I'm Tara. I'm glad that you're here with me. It's good to be here with you. And we're gonna talk about some making that I got done in March, and it's pretty magical, the pile of everything that I was able to finish this month. Now, what I need to remind myself is that this is not normal for me to finish all of these things in a month. Now, the last podcast episode was filmed like a week before the end of February, so I've technically had maybe like 5-ish weeks to work on these things, and there are quite a few things here that have actually been languishing for a while that I was just able to wrap up this month. But I've just really been thinking about that, this magic that happened. How was I able to make all these things? Where did the time go? And I think I have some ideas about how I was able to do that. So we'll kind of dive into that when we go through everything that I finished. So I'm filming this currently in the morning. I just took kids off to school. Our other kiddos are downstairs playing and eating breakfast. So I am going to steal just a little bit of time here to catch up with you and talk with you and share with you. So I'm gonna start with FOs as usual and then go into whips, and that's probably all I'm gonna have time for because that's all I ever have time for. So first up is my Annabelle crop. This is designed by, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but I'm probably going to. Olga, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Handmade Closet. So I love her color work designs because they just hit me in all the right spots. Excuse me if anything bumps into the mic. That always irritates me, but a lavalier mic is just what I have. Or is it lavalier? I did short sleeves, regular body length. I think I did 13 inches, 14 inches, somewhere between 13, 14 inches on the body. I love the fit. I knit this in Holst Garn Coast, which is a wool and cotton blend. So 55 wool, 45% cotton. It feels so good. I knit the body and the color work on size US 4 needles. And then I knit all of the ribbing on US 1 because I found that going down 2 needle sizes is just not quite tight enough as far as gauge wise to get the fit of a ribbing that I like. I did go ahead and do a 1x1 ribbing, which is not my preferred ribbing, but I just went with it. And then what I did for the neckline is I cast on for the yoke, knit all the yoke. I went back and picked up the neckline. And this time, instead of doing a ribbing for the neckline, I just did an I-cord. And I can't remember if I used a US 4. I might have used a US 5 to do the I-cord on the neckline because my neckline is so close. I love it because it's so close. When I used a US 4, when I went to go try it on after I did it on a US 4, it got about right here on my head. I thought, well, this is not gonna work. So the great thing is by picking up stitches to do the neckband afterwards, that means I can go back and I can alter however I do my necks. So let me take this off because I have other things that I have to put on. So this is actually done in 3 colors. I know it's hard to tell because the main fabric in the body and then the light color up here in the color work, they're so close together, and I hem and hawed over whether there was enough contrast. If I had to do it again, I probably would have picked a lighter color up here. Maybe, I don't know. I just would have picked something different. There is still a contrast that is very subtle, which I really, really like. I love playing with color, and so really subtle things in color play I love. So I still really like it. And I like the monochrome look of it. I tried to get as close as I could to Olga's original colors. Now she used a hand-dyed yarn in her sample, and I knew that that wasn't going to work for me, but what could work for me was Holstgarn. And this is my first time knitting something entirely out of Coast. I really, really like it. And this kind of fabric and weight of sweater, I feel like it's going to be really good for Kentucky because we're not really super cold. We have a couple of super cold times, and then it gets hot in the summer. So something that's just really neutral, it's really nice. So I haven't worn this yet. I'm saving it for Easter Sunday. At least that's what I'm telling myself. But I also have my stone crop, which is my official Easter sweater. So it depends on what the weather's going to be like on Easter morning. Service is at 8:30. If it's really cold and chilly, I'll throw on my stone crop. If it's decent, then I'll wear this, but I don't know. Okay, next up on the pile is another pair of socks. These are, it's by Summerly Knits. It's in a bundle of lace patterned socks. And I can't remember the name of the bundle, but the name of these socks, I think, are called the Pretty Party Socks. And I actually really enjoyed making these, although I feel like I got them done really quickly only because I just felt like I kind of had to have the pattern with me all the time. I had to kind of really pay attention to what I was doing so that I didn't screw up the lace. These are 64 stitch socks. They are lacy, which means that they do open up a little bit. They can get a little loosey-goosey on my foot, which I knew that going into it. So none of that's a shock or a surprise. But I kind of don't care that they get a little slouchy or a little loose. I did put I've worn them already. I've worn with everything that I'm going to show you, with exception for my Annabelle crop. I've worn everything. I don't save it for the podcast and then give myself permission to wear it. I go ahead and wear it, test it out, see how I like it. If I'm on it, then I remember to put it back in the pile to talk about it. So, but I did wash these. I wore them to church, and then once they got kind of loose, I went ahead and threw them in the washer and also put them in the dryer. But they're super wash, and they came out just fine. And if anything, that probably helped shrink them up a little bit. So there are my party socks, knit on a US 1, followed to pattern, using beautiful sock yarn. To those of you in our community that reached out and offered very graciously and kindly and with love to send me yarn so that I could knit socks, that you are so good, and I appreciate your kindness and your thoughtfulness. And I'm not good at this kind of stuff. I'm not good at getting things. I love giving things. I really don't have words, and I don't want to sit and think too much about it because I'll just be a mush ball. What is sent to me is always put to good use, and it's always put to use rather quickly, because my belief is that it was sent to me for a reason, and I need to honor that. So all the other yarn that I've bought myself, like up here, it sits for a while. The things that are sent to me, gets used. Like, I pretty much get things cast on right away. So let's move on. I did finish my muscle burrow, which I love. I know I've said in the past I don't like the gnome or the nipple look on hats, but on this one I don't mind it. And I think I don't know why. with this one, I'm okay with it. I think it's just because I love the color so much that I'm like, show off the colors. I love color. I already knew about myself, but it's just been reaffirmed lately that I really like simple, classic, timeless silhouettes and shapes. And where I play is with color and pattern and stuff like that. So that's been really fun. I might just keep this on because my hair's a little suspect. It's not wash day just yet. I don't really know what else to tell you about this because I've made them before and other podcasters have talked about it, but I love this. And I want to make another one. And I want to make another one that's a little more neutral. But the whole purpose of me choosing a bright color was so that if I have this on, then it's easy for the kids to find me. Or if I'm with a group, then it's easy to find me because you just look for the bright colors. So if anything, I do have one skein of yarn in mind that is like some deeper blues with a little dash of greens in there that I think would be good for the boys. So that might be my next like mindfulness knit, like when I'm listening to something, that might be my listening knit. Like I want to pay attention and I want to keep my hands busy. And as long as my hands are busy, then my mind can pay attention. You know, if you knit, you know that that's a thing. So I might do that. Maybe I'll take this off because I have other things that have to go on top of my head. But now I can put this in my basket. Next up in the pile, I have the DRK Everyday Cowl. This was knit in Holst Garn Super Soft for my stash. So you cast on here where my dark blue is, and if you just follow the fade, then you can see the construction of this. I, on purpose, purchased this cowl because it's simple and it's a blank canvas. And Andrea has made that plain whenever she was promoting this in her newsletter, and I think also just on her online platforms, that she really likes things in her DRK series, which are like everyday things, like the everyday sock. She has an everyday sweater, an everyday cowl, that it's just a blank canvas and then you can do whatever you want. And that super resonated with me. So for this one, I did the large version and I followed the pattern, except I went down a needle size. I did figure out how many rows made up the entire cowl, so then I could figure out how to get from one color of my fade to the last color of my fade, which is this bright turquoise color. And then I finished off the I-cord edging with two colors, because what I realized going from the purple to like the minty turquoise color is that it's very much like Ariel from The Little Mermaid. And so as a nod to Ariel, I incorporated the kind of orangey red color like her hair in the Disney movie. I don't know if Ariel, like, so The Little Mermaid was originally, wasn't it a Grimm's fairy tale? And I don't know that she had red hair in the actual original story. I think Disney just made her hair red. So let me put this on again. Like I said, if it hits my mic and messes up with the sound, I apologize. I've already worn this. Like I said, I wore it to church, and I kind of like putting it a little bit offset, and I don't like anything too tight around my neck. So like the Sophie scarf that has been going around and everybody tying the cute little bows around their neck, I look at them with admiration, but I know that for me, like even just thinking about it, it makes me think of being a little kid and I wore like cotton turtlenecks that were like so tight. I just can't. I like something up around my neck, but I like it loose. So I just kind of tuck it in. I put it on, I kind of fiddle with the neck just a little bit. I kind of like the cowl thing going on here. But I kind of just leave it alone. Just leave it alone. Just let it do what it wants to do. That's what I like about this. I have found that shawls, depending on what shawl it is, can be a little too fussy, and I just don't have time for fussy. I need to just be able to plop it over my head and wrangle the kids. And this is good for that. And it's cute and it's warm. And if I need it to be kind of up and around myself, then I can pull it up. It's plenty big enough for that. I would love to make another one of these in neutral colors. I just don't know what the neutral colors are right now. I have to be careful with neutrals because if I do something too beigey, it just washes me out. I feel better when I've got some color. Okay, next up is a Saturday shrug. I had to make sure I called it by the right thing. So this is made with linen quill held double, and I used size 7 or 8 needles. It's all on Ravelry. I don't know why I'm trying to remember all of it. Everything's on my Ravelry project pages, except the gauge. I didn't write down the gauge. Just like I didn't write down gauge for this. I didn't write down gauge for this because in a project like this, the gauge doesn't really matter. I did cast on 146 stitches. This is a gift knit. This feels fabulous. This is going to one of my loved ones, so she can be warm and snuggly. I was originally going to knit a half and half wrap for her, but then I was working on it and I was making slow progress, but progress. And then Jackie released this and I thought, this makes way much more sense for like how I'm picturing her using this. This just makes more sense. Like out on the beach, drinking some coffee, breeze from the ocean. This makes more sense to have around your shoulders. It's not going to move. Duh. And so, you know, it's just a 1x1 tube. It's fabulous. Now, I didn't try it on because I made another shrug. This one is the Friday shrug. And the only difference between this shrug and the purple one is that with this one, I followed Jackie's fade. So this is the Friday shrug designed by Jackie Rose from Caddy Jack's Knits. You guys, it's taken me a few years to figure this out, but when I look at a pattern, we all know that what we see in a picture can be deceiving. That one beautiful picture might have been like the 75th picture that person took. So I love looking at the designer's pictures and everything like that. And, you know, Jackie's gorgeous, so everything looks fabulous on her. So then I was like, okay, it's a free pattern, so there's no cost. I can stash bust. So literally this cost me nothing extra, right? Like I already had the yarn that I'd already spent money on, so I didn't have to buy more yarn. So I thought, okay, if I'm gonna do this, let me look at the pictures for the projects that people have made. Y'all, this looks good on everybody. It doesn't even matter how ugly you think someone else's colors are. It looks so nice on everybody. And I thought, yep, I'm gonna make me that. I'm gonna make me that. I did have reservations about being able to wear this and take care of all the kids. I can. So if you're somebody that has young kids or grandkids and you're like, I don't know if that's really practical, it is, because you can wear it as a cowl like this. Look how cute that is. I think it's cute. And then if I want to, if I get chilly, I just put it down over my shoulders. And now my arms are warm. And I love it. I did not block this because this has linen quill in it, but it also has some superwash yarn in it. And it's all fingering held double. And since it has some superwash in it, I was like, we all know what happens to ribbing when you block it. It stretches out. This is already getting stretched out because of the way I wear it. So I wear it with this part at the top and this part at the bottom. And it's already kind of getting kind of weird looking in the shape, but that's okay. Like it's okay. But I didn't block it. And so I love it. I will make more. Great gift knit. So good. Now the problem is that I want to gift it to people back in Missouri, like the ones that I love back in Missouri. And so when I do that, I want to be like, okay, so this is how you wear it. But I'm not in Missouri. So anyway, I digress. We'll just move on. If you have any questions, put them in the comments down below, or like I said, check out my Ravelry page. Next up is my pink velvet. Oh my God. First of all, it feels so good. My color work is in alpaca and Surrey alpaca. And then the body is in Malabrigo sock and Frank ochre. Oh my gosh. Now, I've seen Frank, we'll just call it Frank. I've seen Frank on some other podcasts and it looks like a golden yellow. It's like an antique green gold, you know. I think in the last podcast, maybe I called it like baby poop green. I'm talking like newborn baby poop, not the kind William has now because he's on solid foods. This feels so good. Oh my God. It's so soft. What I also, well, I don't like that you can kind of see where I had it folded, but that's okay. What I love about my sweaters when I knit them is I want to be able to dress them up and dress them down. I'm in sweatpants 95% of the time. That other 5% is because I'm going to church and then I come back, I put my sweatpants back on. So I want to be able to take my garments and put them with sweatpants, and I do it. But I could also put this with some slacks or a skirt. Oh my gosh. It is full. It hits at the very top of my hip bone. So it is approximately, I think 14 inches is my happy number when it comes to the length of my sweaters. And then I did knit the sleeves a little bit shorter and then they grew when I blocked them out. So they hit exactly where I want them to. And what I love about this is then I can cuff them. I love a good cuff. So now, ta-da, it's bracelet length and I can wear whatever I want on my wrists and I can do dishes or whatever. Oh, I'm going to keep this on. It feels so good on my body. Oh my God. Something else that I wanted to add before I move on to the Pinguono is similar to the Annabelle crop. With this one, it's top down. I cast on for the yoke, did all the color work, finished up the first skein of Frank, and then I went back and knit the neckband, then did my sleeves, and then finished with the body, because for me, stockinette on the body is the most laborious and part. So it's more, I don't know how to describe it. I just like it better knowing that this and these are done and fit the way that I like them, and then I can just go. So then whatever yarn I have left is how long or short I can just kind of play with it. Finished my Pinguono. This is knit entirely using Holst Super Soft, just plain with melting colors. It's completely finished. Did I share this in the last podcast that I finished this? I didn't go back and rewatch it. Like everything else, I've worn this. I like it. Just put it on as like a coat. It's good for like around the house. I have worn it to church. Like I said, I call this my Joseph coat because Joseph had a coat of many colors, and I kind of went into that in the last podcast. If you want to hear more about Joseph's story, like a really short abbreviated version of that story, you can go there. But yes, I'm loving this. I love the mismatched sleeves. I love the two-toned I-cord on it. It feels so good. It makes me want to make another one eventually. I did buy Stephen West's workshop for the Pinguono, so I think I have the Pinguono and the Pinguino, the one for kids. I think I have both the patterns because I bought that workshop. So that was I think that was my birthday gift to myself, and then using my stash to knit it. And then the yarn for this sweater was a gift for myself, having gone through everything I went through after having William. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to tell you about while I'm doing this. I've had fun learning how to play with color and fading. I still feel like a newbie. I've got a lot to learn. I'm still enjoying working on socks. And with my Annabelle, so I anticipated that this sweater with 3 color work would take me a while. I had planned and kind of got my mind ready to just take my time with this. It'll get done when it gets done or whatever. And what I've learned every single time this happens is that when I'm working on something that I know that I truly, really just enjoy, that I think, oh man, this is going to take forever, is that it doesn't take forever. It all gets done. And I tend to enjoy them so much that all I want to do is work on them, so they get done fairly timely. That happened with my a couple of other sweaters that I made. My wedding dress sweater and I think of it as my angel butterfly sweater. So this has taught me that if there's something that I really love, I need to just make it, because we all know that there's so much yarn and so many patterns that we can't knit or make everything. So why am I settling, and it's not even settling, but why am I making things that I'm okay with making or that everyone else is making when there are other things that I want to make on my own? Because I just saw this, let me tell you this right here. I did add some raglan shaping here. I used my own gauge, which didn't match the pattern's gauge, so I had to do math. And then it all just worked out. So my hair is just looking some kind of way. I'm just gonna put my hat back on. I would totally mom around in this, man. And yes, I have on sweatpants. And funny, I have on these slippers. I forgot to change my shoes when I took the kids to school, so everyone in school pickup line got to see my slippers this morning. I'm gonna go through what's in my gray bag first. I love this felted bag. Oops. It's great because I keep my little treasures on it. Oh, I just love it. So, okay. Well, let's just talk about what fell out. So, I'm keeping this. I made a little bag. You know, I just like making my bags. So the denim that's on here is from a pair of my grandfather's overalls. He wore these kinds of overalls my entire life. When I close my eyes and think of my grandfather, he's in these overalls. So, sorry. Like I said, I apologize for any microphone issues. So when he passed away, I asked my grandmother, I said, the only thing that I'm going to be so bold to ask of that belonged to Grandpa is, may I please have a pair of his overalls? And so 10 years later, I'm finally doing things with them. So I took the straps off of them, and I've got cute little handles, so it's like a little purse. And I kept this is the bib part, the bib pockets of his overalls. They still work. I kept everything as intact as I could. So, and then I just used some quilt cotton, and I just really like it because this reminds me of my grandma. This is my grandpa. I like things like that. So when I finished the Annabelle crop, I thought, okay, I want a vest. but if I'm gonna do a vest, I want it to be something that I know that I will just wear until forever. Okay, the academic vest by Ellie of Scandier Knits keeps coming up. Jackie made it, and then Jonna from Kim and Jonna, she's started on it, and I thought, okay, I have Holst yarn, which would be perfect for this color work, and it's sticky enough, and I'm just gonna do Holst yarn. I'm gonna pull together the colors that I still have left because Holst yarn lasts forever. I mean, it's incredible how long that yarn stretches. I think in one 50-gram cake, it has over 300 yards in it. I would consider it a light fingering, so keep that in mind. But I like that I feel like with thin yarns, I have more room to play. Like I can make something really fine on a fingering weight gauge, or I can marl things together. The world is my oyster. So I've started it and then I've stopped on it. So it's worked bottom up, and I've cast on, and I even did a tubular cast on, which I haven't done in a long time. And I had a major brain workout trying to use my muscle memory of how to do this. Cause I don't use the, crochet method. I use the Andrea Mowry like way of doing it. She has a video on it. Just because I don't keep a crochet hook around all the time, nor do I keep scrap yarn around, like waste yarn around all the time. I just don't. So I can do Andrea's method anywhere, anytime. If I've got the needles in the yarn, I can do it. So anyway, so I cast on, it's worked, like I said, bottom up. So I started the ribbing, but I can't decide, do I like the 1x1 ribbing, or do I want to take it all out, start over and do 2x2 ribbing? Because I like 2x2 ribbing and how clean it looks. And my 1x1 ribbing is not always neat and tidy as I would like it. So I kind of just, and 1x1 ribbon, I don't know, man. I'm just not sure. And normally, like when I watch other knitters talk about this, I'm like, girl, you don't like it? Take it out. No one ever regrets taking something out and starting again and fixing it or doing whatever. But the thing is that I don't not like it. I don't know. I think I'll be okay. I might continue on with this. I put it away because I thought, you know, sometimes you just need to put something away and take some time away from it. And that's kind of what I needed to do with this. I was like, you know, I have other things that I'd really like to work on. You know, I just finished the Annabelle crop. I thought, I could take a time off of small needles and color work for just a little bit. So I will come back to this. Also, something about the academic vest is that it's steeked. I've done a lot of things in knitting. Steeking is not one of them. I'm a little scared, but I feel like Ellie's Scandinavian, and if I'm going to learn from anybody, it might as well be Ellie. So I guess that's not true. I have steeked before. I made a bookmark on Jameson. I think it's Jameson Smith's YouTube channel. Hazel Tyndall has like a 40-minute video on how to knit a bookmark. And so I thought, well, that could be a way to practice steeking. So I'm somewhat familiar with how to do it and what it'll entail, but I haven't taken on something quite like this before. Moving on. I have a pair of socks, and I'm 75% of the way done. I have one sock finished. This is Little Bit of Love socks, designed by Emily from Meanwhile at the Castle and Salt City Knits. And this is using Deborah from Candy Shop Yarn. This is her sock set, and she sent this to me when she heard that I didn't have any sock yarn. she sent this, and then she sent some other sock things, and I was going to be really good, and I was just going to like blind grab one thing at a time. Well, she wrapped it so well that like it was wrapped in the wrapping, and then I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So then I was like, well, I can't open this without like untaping it, whatever. So I'm trying, like I have the bag set on my bed, I'm trying to unwrap it with my eyes closed, and I feel what's there, and then all of a sudden my eyes just went then I saw everything. So I have plans for future socks, you'll see. But these were the first ones. I just thought, well, I'm really trying to work on my relationship with color work because it's a little tumultuous. Like, it's like a hate love. Like I have to like get my mind around like doing two colors, thinking about the tension thing, you know, there's more that my brain has to think about. But I thought, you know, the only way to get through that and get better is to do it, is to go through it. So I thought, well, I'll make these socks. They're so cute. And so I have the other sock. I'm working on the foot. Now I, on purpose, switched the colors up on the cuff. I just wanted to. I felt like it, okay? That's what I wanted to do. So I'm just kind of playing around, having fun. In Deborah's sample that she did, she had the red cast on. I thought, ooh, that is so cute. And this sweet and sour pink color is so cute. It is a sweet pink without being saccharine. And it's just so good. It's so good. So I have put these to the side for right now. Not to the side as in not working in them, but to the side as in keeping them in the van and using them as my on-the-go knitting, since I'm just doing the foot, and that tends to just kind of take care of itself. So also with Emily's pattern, that it's so pretty, but it's just also so simple. Like, I don't have to have the pattern with me now. Like, I know how to knit the hearts. Like, I know the chart to follow, you know, this is good. Emily and Deborah, who are sisters, if you are not familiar with them, I have enjoyed them for years, watching their podcasts. They're the ones that when they talk about socks, I'm like, those are the kinds of socks that I want, because they use such just pretty colors and they just make it fun. And there's something about their spirit, and when they laugh, it sounds almost identical to my aunts when they laugh at something. So it makes me think of my own family. There's watching Emily and Deborah, whether it's Meanwhile at the podcast when they're together, or even their separate podcasts that they're having to do at this moment, it just feels like coming home. And I could just go on and on and on and on. The next thing I have in my bag is a project that I have the yarn ready for, but I haven't cast on yet. But I'll share with you because I like you. I have some size, what is this? Let me look. 7, yep. Size 7 needles, because I'm gonna make another shrug. And this time, it's just gonna be a Saturday shrug, so no fading or anything. It's just gonna be stripes. And I like things that aren't typically paired together. Like, you're not supposed to put, like, this isn't black technically, it's like a charcoal gray, but like black and brown aren't typically colors that go together. But just like pink and red, you don't normally put together except for Valentine's Day. But I think this, once it's striped, is gonna look so pretty. And these, like, oh, I cannot wait. The browns and the grays, this is all Holst. These 3 are super soft. This is in Coast. The colors are similar enough. I'm going to marl them together. So it's okay that they don't match. In fact, it's the fact that they don't match that makes it interesting for me. So I will cast that on once I finish something. I need to get something off the needles before I cast something else on, because I have 3 working projects, and 2 to 3 projects I found is my like happy number. It's what really gets me, like, I'm motivated to work on something without feeling overwhelmed. So then last whip, and then we'll be done. I was on Instagram. I opened up the app and boom, there's the picture of one of my knitting friends, Shreya, in her sheep camp. Now she did hers, the body was in black and the color work is in white, and it looked gorgeous on her. She's stunning anyway. But I was just like, I gasped when I opened it up, because I was like, oh, that's so good. And I have wanted to make the sheep camp for a while, and I finally had a yarn like epiphany. I knew what I wanted to use for it, and I just hadn't cast it on, and then I thought, this is stupid. I have the yarn sitting in a bag waiting, but I keep casting other things on ahead of it. I'm just going to cast it on. I'm just going to do it. So I did it. I did. I'm tangled. Oh, heavens. Okay. And I've made quite a bit of progress. I cast this on a couple days ago, and I've just been, my hands have been flying. There's a lot happening in the world, and I've been doing a lot of just really thinking and meditating and praying and like soul searching, I guess, as far as what's my role to play in the world. What do I need to be doing and modeling for our kids and all of that kind of stuff. And so while my brain's been going, my hands have too. And what has been interesting, and one reason why I think I've been able to knock out so much knitting this month, is because I'm able to put the kids to bed and allow myself to stay up later, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but when I was in the deepest, darkest part of my depression and anxiety, I could not do that. I had to go to bed by a certain time because I knew I would wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning in absolute panic and just, I don't even know, I can't describe what waking up was like. It was really bad. So part of what helped with my healing was having a schedule and taking care of myself and building that trust back into myself. Well, I've done all the work to build trust back into myself, and I have found what helps me keep the anxiety quiet. And because of that, I'm now not bound by a clock so much as like I'm not in fear of time. Like I don't have to keep it so rigidly. So in the morning before the sun would rise was the hardest, darkest, worst part of the day. And then by the evening, I was like all good again. But it didn't matter how good I felt in the evening. When the morning came, I'd be in it again. And I just couldn't figure out, like, where's this anxiety coming from? This attack that's so debilitating that it's indescribable. And so what I had to go through was realize, okay, anxiety is fear. There were a lot of things going on when William was born. My hormones were crazy. I definitely had a chemical imbalance. I have medicine that I take to help with the chemical imbalance. When it comes to the anxiety, I have to take care of this. I need to figure out what's going on. So if my anxiety is based on fear, what do I know about fear? Well, fear is lies. Most of the time, fear is lies. Now, sometimes fear is good, right? Like if you see a tornado, you're not going to run towards the tornado. You're going to go and seek cover. But there's a lot of fear for me, like the debilitating anxiety fear was, it didn't make any sense. There was nothing actually to be afraid of. So I had to spend time learning that this fear's a lie. And the way that I conquer lies is with truth. For me, in my journey, God's holy word is the truth. In a world where everything is changing so fast all the time, what is something that remains constant that I can rely on now and until the day that I meet him again? And that is his word. And the thing is that every day I'm one step closer to meeting my maker. And I don't want to live in fear of death, because that will send me on an anxiety spiral that I don't want to go down. So what I want to do is get to a point in my faith where what I'm doing is loving others well, the way Jesus did, as the best that I can, and have a relationship with God so strong that it is an honor and a privilege to pass from this world and go into his. To just have that peace that surpasses all understanding. And all this knitting has been me starting to just get to that place where, in Isaiah 40:19, I have 60:19. Of course, I have it written. It talks about, you'll no longer be captive by the light of the sun or the light of the moon. The word of the Lord is going to be your light, and he's going to be your glory. So it doesn't matter. I told my therapist, I thought, something that I wrote down, I jotted it down on a sticky note and I stuck it in my Bible, is just talking about, I don't like overcast days. I don't like the dark. And it's okay that I don't like them. And I don't have to live in fear of them. So I don't like the cold, dark days of winter, but I will not be in fear of them. I know that they will not last. Everything has a beginning and an end. That was a huge aha moment for me. So being able to stay up after the kids have gone to bed, it's kind of like that time after they're in bed to when finally I can't stay up any later and I know it's time for me to go to sleep. That time is really precious because, well, first of all, the house is quiet. Everybody's sleeping. It's real nice. But that chunk of time also is a time when there's work being done. And, Emily had mentioned on her Instagram that in the quiet of the night, her family was in bed and she was up knitting. And that was when she was praying to God and talking to God, and he was talking back. And I was like, yes, that's what it is. Like, there's work being done in those quiet times. And sometimes it feels really selfish because I'm sitting there and I'm knitting. But I think through knitting, God is using that for something. I don't know what it is, and I don't have to know what it is right now because he knows. But somehow I'm going, maybe not today and maybe not in the next couple of years while the kids are going to school, but eventually what's going to happen, this is what I think, is that through my knitting, I'm going to be able to help others in a way that I couldn't possibly have imagined on my own. And I don't know what that looks like. I don't know how that's, it sounds, I feel like when I say it out loud, or if I were to talk to somebody else, that it would just sound so silly. Like knitting is how you're going to help others. And I'm like, yeah, isn't that great? I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. Look, a Fruit Loop.